Okay. All right. We're in here. We're out here. We are ready to go. Um, it's been a day. Just, I guess updates. Nothing interesting's happening. Haven't heard about my computer. Still waiting. Still waiting. Um, other than that, not a whole lot going on. Yeah. It's been a pretty typical day. I worked on a video and yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Um, I actually prepared a little bit today. So, we're not going in completely without a plan today. That being said, things have happened and we're gonna discuss them. So, yeah, let's just get into it. I don't have much else to say. It's just one of those days, one of those sleepy days. As you can tell, I'm a pretty chill person, so I like to relax, keep things calm, unless I get mad or annoyed. Then things get a little bit less calm, but I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Alright. Oh, before I will say before stream I was looking at these like oh god, these clavicular like I he's an interesting one. He's an interesting one. You know what? I will give you that. I'm a little fascinated. He's kind of got me. I'm kind of curious, there's something about him, but these tweets have killed me. Um also yeah, this whole like god, this thing was insane. This this is insane. Like you are grown ass man. Like clavicular is like what? Like can he even drink? Is he old enough to drink? I don't even know. But like the rest of y'all grown ass men. And yes, Nick Fuentes a grown ass man. He's like the same age as me almost, or I think a little bit older than me maybe. Society if clavicular applied his autism to literally anything else. Like, wait, what is this? Clavicular realized that jester maxing at the club is actually peak fun. Clavicular just cracked the code. Jester maxing at the club is officially the new meta. Forget the mysterious guy in the corner trope or the stiff arm drink hold. We are entering the era of high energy, zero ego, chaotic fun. If you aren't the reason the floor is laughing, are you even living? No, it's great. I'm on board. Oh man. All right. All right. All right. We're done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with this shit. um God, what a day. What a day. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Like this is I am truly fascinated with the sort of I guess you would say with the streamers that we have cultivated in this dying empire of ours, like this is the entertainment we are distracting ourselves with as the United States sort of sings a swan song for its relevancy and power and bull and just prestige or whatever the fuck you want to call it. So yeah, it's just people like clavicular. That's we deserve this. We deserve this. We deserve this. This is deserved. Um, I didn't show you any of that because I didn't switch it over, but you didn't need to see it. You didn't need to see it. You didn't need to see any of what I just showed you. Just know clavicular, some crazy shit. Just goddamn. Oh man. All right, we got to get into this. Ice kidnapped a child. They've done this already. Like this is not new. This is not a new thing. Hold on. This is not a new thing from Ice. You know, taking children from their homes, from their parents. It's not new, but this is just they've really been going in on Minneapolis, and I suspect things are going to get worse. There's going to be a protest tomorrow. Today is Thursday. There's going to be a big protest tomorrow, and it's going to be freezing, but yeah, JD Vance was in Minneapolis talking about shit today. I have a little bit of that here, I think, as well. So, God, I there's not much to say other than fuck Ice. Like that's really all I have to say. Is fuck Ice. They're fucking worse. They are literally the most cowardly fucking pigs out there. They're cowards. Like, take off the fucking mask. Take the goddamn mask off. Show your fucking face. Stand on business. The cops have to fucking do it. You should do it too. The cops get to go. The cops go around every goddamn day without wearing masks for the most part. So, fuck you guys. Like, fuck off. Take the goddamn masks off. Stand on business. What is it? Why are you so afraid to show your faces, cowards? Hmm. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? God, I should probably fucking unmute it. Wow. I'm so smart.
The Heights School District says 4 of their students have been detained by ICE agents over the past few weeks. That includes this 5-year-old boy, Liam Ross.
Four. Four of their fucking students. Four. Remember when ICE was like, remember when, remember how Donald Trump and JD Vance and the administration and everyone's been like, oh, they're getting the bad guys off the streets. Were these kids, what, are these kids gang members? Like, what is happening? Not that I think that they should even be, I mean, like, get criminals out of the fucking communities, out of the streets, you know, yes. But, like, I don't think every person out there is a criminal. Every undocumented person is a criminal. I don't think that's the case. Um, but, like, yeah, I mean, as one would expect in a normal functioning society, yes, get the people committing crimes, especially violent crimes, out of the community so that the community is safe. That is how that works. But that's not what they're doing. Unless this child is a violent fucking criminal, which I don't think they are. You know, I'm gonna put my neck out there and say that that's not the case here. Maybe we should just reconsider. Yeah, maybe we should take a moment and think about our fucking actions here. God fucking damn, it's so ugh.
Ramos, who school officials say was taken into custody with his father on his way home from school yesterday. Gordon Severson joins us now with more details. Gordon.
Like, and they fucking use this child as bait too. Like you are fucking evil. You are inhuman motherfuckers if you can get up every morning and go to work as a ICE fucking officer. Like you are not a real human being. You're not a real human being. You should be tried for your crimes. Like you're disgusting. You are subhuman.
Yeah, this all happened as Liam and his father were driving home from preschool. According to Columbia Heights superintendent, she says ICE agents detained Liam and his father, and the family's lawyer says they are likely being held at a detention facility in Texas. School leaders are now speaking out because they say Liam is the 4th student in the district who has been detained by ICE over the last 2 weeks. Inside Valley View Elementary in Columbia Heights, there's a preschool classroom filled with 4- and 5-year-olds who may soon wonder what happened to one of their classmates, Liam Ramos.
He's a bright young student, and he's so kind.
Ella Sullivan is Liam's preschool teacher. She says her students haven't asked about Liam yet, but they will, and she and other teachers wonder how they can possibly answer their questions.
All I want is for him to be safe and back here.
The family's lawyer says Liam is likely being held with his father at a detention.
Like, literal fucking child, dude. Like, what is the fucking point of this other than cruelty? What is the point of this other than absolute fucking cruelty? You're despicable. You're disgusting. You actually deserve the worst. Fucking hell.
Facility in Texas.
We have clients that once they're picked up, they're whisked away to the airport literally within hours.
School officials say Liam is one of 4 students who have been detained by ICE agents over the last 2 weeks, including another student who was also detained on Tuesday.
On the way to school, a 17-year-old high school student, a minor, was taken by armed, masked agents. Alone. No parents were present.
Superintendent Zena Stenvik says the other 2 students include another 17-year-old and her mother, who were detained by ICE last week, and a 10-year-old girl who was also detained with her mother on their way to school 2 weeks ago.
And by the end of the school day, they were already in a detention center in Texas, and they are still there.
He's terrified.
Pastor Sergio Amezcua is also working with Liam's family. He says many in the Latino community are deeply concerned about children being taken by federal agents.
Let Child Protection Services take care of them while the parents battle the legal battle.
Amezcua says many in the community are now afraid to leave their homes. His church has now received food delivery requests from more than 27,000 families who are scared to go to the grocery store.
ICE agents have been roaming our neighborhoods, circling our schools, following our buses, coming into our parking lots and taking our children. And our hearts are shattered.
When it comes to Liam and his family, their lawyer says they have been following the law as they are seeking asylum to become legal U.S. citizens. Their lawyer is now working to find a way to bring Liam back home to Columbia Heights so he can stay with his remaining family members and go back to school.
Gordon, do we have any idea why they were targeted or why the other students were targeted? Do we know anything about, was it legal status? Was it criminal history?
Well, the school district did say that one of the other students was detained 2 weeks ago and is still in Texas. But other than that, they don't have any other information about their legal status or why they may have been targeted by federal agents.
All right, Gordon, thank you.
Absolute fucking monsters, dude. Absolute fucking monsters. I'm trying to do something over here before we continue, but my life is a mess, and I seem to be failing at everything I attempt. Very much par for the course, so that's cool. To be fair, I think Twitch should have made this much easier. This is not my fault, actually. Hold on. Like, it shouldn't be this hard for me to, like, share my stream. Like, this shouldn't be like a thing, Twitch. Oh, man, hold on. Alright, maybe I give up. Oh my god. Okay, whatever. I'll just do this the old-fashioned way. Do it the old-fashioned way. Da 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 da. Here we go. Beautiful. Fantastic. Okay. Let's do this.
Vice President Events, a local school district here is alleging ICE agents detained a 5-year-old after preschool on Tuesday. We've also seen multiple American citizens detained by ICE or harassed by ICE in the last 6 weeks. Are you proud of how your administration is conducting this immigration crackdown here in Minnesota right now?
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we're standing behind law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that we're enforcing the country's laws. But, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy, and I think to myself, oh my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that
God, I hate this piece of shit so fucking much, dude. Like, you're such the father ran. Like, even if that's like the version of events we want to accept and like go with here, you're still the problem here. Like, the ICE officer still created the scenario where the father felt the need to run. Like, it's such a baffling thing for this man to get up here and say this shit. And the way he tries to do this sort of like almost like attempt at making the events like palatable. It's like you can't do this. Like you can't like liberalize this and like make this like that we can like because that's what JD Vance is for. He's supposed to make like Trump's actions like more palatable to liberals and shit like that. And that's just like not something that you can do with this shit.
ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject.
Bro, that's not what that fucking means. But also, like, why is the kid still detained? Where is the child? He has not been released. If this was just we kept the child safe and blah 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 because of the father ran, then like why has he not been turned over to family? Is there no other family to turn him over to? Like, what is the scenario, JD Vance? Why are you not explaining that part of this situation? What is going on? Like, you you motherfucker. Hello? God damn.
Subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, you know, there are so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second, we don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer. You can't have that happen. And of course they have to defend themselves. And of course they have the right.
They have literally detained fucking cops. Like they have gone up to cops, racially profiled cops in Minneapolis and been like, hey dude, guess what? You're a fucking undocumented immigrant and we're gonna fucking arrest you for that. And the cops are like, bitch, what the fuck? Is JD Vance trying to tell me that there are cops out there who have punched ICE officers? I don't believe there is a cop out there that is that based. I'm sorry. I don't believe you, JD Vance. JD, I don't believe you. I think you're lying. I think you're lying again, JD Vance. Liar, liar, pants on fire. This man loves to fucking lie, bro. If lying were an Olympic sport, JD Vance would be the motherfucking gold medalist of the century. Fucking hell.
Right to detain somebody who assaults a law enforcement officer. Now, this is my point. Do we want these things to happen? Do we want these arrests to be so chaotic? No, we don't. These guys want it least of all, but if we had a little cooperation.
This war playing out in Minnesota, it's getting scarier and scarier by the day. Because ICE has said goodbye to Warrens and they've begun terrorizing children as a matter of routine.
I mostly wanted to just see the comments on this video. I imagine they have a pretty liberal audience these days. Like I feel like he used to be more of like a centrist, but he's got like a podcast with Pearl Mania now, right? With Pearl like they've got a podcast now. And they're definitely very libbed up. Fucking subpoenaing the Clintons while doing nothing to Bondi, who is illegally withholding the fucking files, is peak absurdity. Okay, I think we should also subpoena the Clintons, though. Like, why not? And all of them, including Bondi. I hate this timeline. Evil is evil. I hope every one of these people get caught. I will not forget. Read a comment from someone in Canada and they asked, why did you allow all the school shootings to protect a right you refuse to use? And I have no words. Ooh, kind of base for that one. I can't lie to you. Canadian kind of clocked our shit. Canadian kind of clocked our shit. What are the replies to this? Because the people who bang on about the Second Amendment are people who don't care about children being abducted, who don't care about Gestapo in the street. Like, that is true to some extent, but I don't even think that's like 100% true. Like, I think there are definitely a lot of leftists who are into guns, who are into gun culture. Like, it's definitely more when it comes to like right wingers and conservatives for sure. But I don't think it's like. I wonder if there's like a poll out there or something like that. Do we think there's like a poll out there for that? Hold on. Let's see. Let me see if I can find something on that. I don't even know what to look up. Hold on. American gun ownership by political party. Got a key facts about Americans and guns from Pew Research in 2024. Let's see. About 4 in 10 U.S. adults say they live in a household with a gun, including 32% who say they personally own one. There are differences in gun ownership rates by political affiliation, gender, community type, and other factors. Party. 45% of Republicans and GOP-leaning independents say they personally own a gun compared to 20% of Democrats and Democratic leaners. Yeah. And this is 2024. So I feel like again, I did say that I feel like it's like definitely way more, but 20% is not like, that's not like insignificant. And it's kind of the same ratio when it comes to gender. And then there's community type, people living in rural areas owning more firearms, obviously. 38% of white Americans own a gun compared to smaller shares of black, 24 Hispanic. Like, I think this breakdown is probably a little bit more significant, if I'm being honest with you, not to be that bitch. But I do kind of think that the 38% racial, like the 38% white Americans part is a little bit more significant than like along party lines at this point. Like I do think this is turning into a very like white supremacist issue, obviously. Not even turning into, like it always has been. But yeah. Personal protection tops the list as reasons gun owners give for having a firearm. About 7 in 10 gun owners, 72% say protection is a major reason. The rest is hunting, sports, ag, collection, and then for their job. Gun owners tend to have much more positive feelings about having a gun in the house than non-owners who live with them do. I mean, yeah, that's probably expected. But yeah, I mean, the truth is, the reason, I mean, the reason that a lot of people harp on about the Second Amendment is not necessarily because they plan on overthrowing a corrupt government at some point. Um, like even if like think about it, like we the closest we got to that was January 6th, and even in that scenario, those boys didn't like break out the big guns. Like they didn't like there weren't like shootouts in the fucking street, you know? I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm just saying that most gun owners aren't buying guns or aren't keeping guns because they plan on overthrowing a corrupt government someday, even those on the right. So, do with that what you will. Um Now they're claiming ICE can raid your home without a warrant from a judge. Yeah, they're saying a lot of shit. Like they're saying you can use administrative warrants now. All right. Yeah, it's not it's bad. It's really bad. It's really fucking bad. Um yeah, there's so much to fucking say about this about ICE in general. I mean, ultimately we don't need ICE. Ultimately I am for, mass amnesty. Uh I think the majority of undocumented immigrants are just people who want to live in America and have normal lives and be, a normal US citizen. Like that's it. That's all they fucking want. And then, arrest the criminals. Arrest the criminals like you would arrest a normal fucking US citizen who's a criminal. Like I don't know why like I don't know why people loved. I mean, I know why people buy into the fucking shitty idea that they're all criminals and shit. I mean, it's blatantly right. It's blatant white supremacy. It's blatant uh racism and bigotry and bullshit. But fuck me. It's just this is bad. Like this is really bad, and I I think that the government needs to be doing more. Um, the governor, the mayor, the law enforcement in Minneapolis and Minnesota needs to be doing more. They need to be protecting the citizens of Minneapolis, of Minnesota, and they are not. If they are not going to protect the citizens of Minneapolis and Minnesota, I think they should lay down their arms and allow the citizens to take up arms and protect themselves. Like, if you're not going to use all of that fucking equipment that our tax dollars are paying for, then give it to the fucking citizens and allow them to protect themselves because fuck you at this point. So that's my fucking hot take on this shit. Not really a hot take, but that is my take on this is if the police are not going to fucking protect the citizens of Minneapolis, of Minnesota, then turn over your weapons, turn over your ballistic shields, turn over your SWAT equipment, turn over your SWAT vehicles, turn over all of the fucking bullshit and allow the citizens to protect themselves. Whoops, I said it. Oh well. Oh well. Like if you're not going to do your job, then fucking give up the fucking shit that we paid for. If you're not going to do your job, then give us the fucking shit that we paid for and we'll do it ourselves. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as fucking that. And if you're not going to have the fucking, and if you're not going to, if you're a politician and you're not going to enact your sort of power to protect the citizens, then you're a coward as well. It's full of fucking cowards. I mean, we knew that, but Jesus Christ. All right. All right. That's it. I'm done with this. I'm done with this for now. My blood pressure is going up. Let's move on. God damn.
The UN's High
Okay. Oh man. What do I want to say? What do I want to say? I don't really know what to say. There's been a lot. I always do that. I always do that. Let me just. So, Sudan, things have gotten very bad over there, obviously, and as per usual, the media is not talking about it. And so I have a few videos here that I wanted to take a look at and just sort of, I guess we could have a little bit of a discussion about that because here we are in the year 2026 and it's been silent. Like it's really kind of ominous actually how fucking little coverage there has been on what is happening in Sudan. And what is happening there again is very fucking um it's awful. I've been keeping up with what's happening and it's awful. And I think I think part of it does kind of come from people not wanting to talk about these sort of atrocious things that are happening because it is the sort of worst of the worst. And I am talking about the sexual assault of women, of children, of young children, but at the hands of the RSF. So that is something that has been occurring. And I think that honestly, Western media was always going to ignore what's happening in Sudan, but I do think part of them doesn't want to report on that kind of shit. Like they don't want to talk about it. They're kind of afraid to. I don't know what you fucking do about that, but I think people need to know what is happening no matter how horrific it is.
Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, held a press conference in the eastern city of Port Sudan on Sunday, concluding a 4-day visit to the country where he mostly focused on displaced people from the city of El Fasher and surrounding villages. Now, the commissioner went to El Dabba in the northern part of the country where people fleeing from El Fasher and surrounding areas sought refuge. Tens of thousands of refugees and displaced people have been arriving to El Dabba, and the High Commissioner said that he heard testimonies from survivors and from people fleeing about what they witnessed and what they experienced. Al Jazeera has also heard similar testimonies during its coverage of people, displaced people who fled El Fasher since late October. Now, the High Commissioner said that he heard from survivors that they witnessed executions of civilians, mass killings of civilians, abduction of relatives and loved ones, and that the rapid support forces prevented civilians from leaving the city of El Fasher following their takeover, either killing or detaining those civilians. The High Commissioner also said that rape was being used as a weapon of war and that there is evidence that that was systematic and not individual crimes committed by individuals. He also
Yeah, so before we go further about that, I really do want to just like drive home like what is happening here and how like bad and systematic it is. I know I keep saying the word bad here, but like I cannot emphasize how atrocious this is. Survivors recount RSF gang rape in Sudan, infants among victims. In exclusive testimonies, women recount harrowing attacks by paramilitary forces as a senior doctor reveals that 14 female infants have been raped. In Sudan, victims of sexual violence are often forced to suffer in silence, their tears shed where no one can hear them. But for a woman like Miriam, the horror of a war followed her even as she tried to flee, attempting to escape from Gezira State to Khartoum earlier last year. Miriam's vehicle was stopped by armed men. She was the only passenger singled out. We were coming from Gezira State. They stopped us on the street and forced us down. Miriam told Al Jazeera Arabic correspondent Asma Mohammed. They said they wanted to search us. Two of them consulted with each other, then called me over. They took me to a place. It was an empty room with a mattress. They told me to lie down, and then they raped me. Miriam returned to her family in the waiting car, shattered. She told us immediately what happened, how many of them there were. Of course, they were from the Rapid Support Forces. Miriam's story is not unique. In El Fasher, the tragedy repeats itself with even greater brutality. A medical student told Al Jazeera she was forced to witness mass rape and murder before becoming a victim herself. The RSF forces entered and besieged the area. They killed my uncle, the one who raised me, right in front of us. We were 4 girls along with our neighbor's daughter. The RSF forces then gang raped us in a brutal manner. Like, this is what the media is not not reporting on. This is what the media is essentially ignoring. This is what the world is essentially ignoring. These exclusive accounts align with a harrowing new report released last November by the Strategic Initiative for Women in the Horn of Africa, which documented nearly 1,300 cases of sexual and gender-based violence across 14 states since the war began in April 2023. And to be very clear, that is only victims who were able to report what has happened to them. So that does not even account for the people who were unable to make it to someone or report their assault. So the number is likely much higher and is much higher. Like there's not even like a what the hell? There's not even like a my screen just went black for a second. There's not even a likely needed here. Like this is just the truth, you know. Like the number is much higher. These are not random acts, but a strategy rooted in viewing women as property. Kidnappings often occurred at the beginning of an invasion. When homes are entered, there is a specific question asked: is there a girl in this house? Are there young women? We have heard from many witnesses who were told by RSF soldiers, I am coming to take this girl. Sexual slavery and trafficking. The violence extends beyond immediate assault to long-term captivity. Women are kidnapped for sexual slavery, specifically young middle-aged women, and also to serve the soldiers. Forced labor, washing clothes, cooking. Even more disturbingly, she revealed that the exploitation has crossed international lines. Women are also kidnapped for the purpose of enslavement and sale in markets. They are transported across the border to African countries neighboring Sudan. She added that women's bodies are being used as weapons in this war to defeat communities, leaving survivors crushed by stigma and often refusing to return to their families out of shame. The systemic nature of these crimes was further confirmed by Arnold Sunga, a lawyer and former African director for the International Commission of Jurists, who led a fact-finding mission to eastern Chad to interview refugees fleeing the violence. Speaking to Al Jazeera Arabic from Harare, I don't know if that's how you say that. I'm probably butchering some of these names. I do apologize. Described his mission to Adre and Ganina as heartbreaking. The RSF are the ones who attacked the Masalit group. They were the majority of those subjected to sexual violence and rape. That is also an aspect here. Specifically, the targets seem to be the I believe the non-Arab black population. So that is also an aspect here. It is said that the violence is now being used systemically as a means and weapon of war to forcibly remove people from their land and to punish Muslim men who tried to defend their land. Sunga warned that the collapse of the rule of law has created an absolute environment for these crimes. The RSF are now the responsible authority in these areas. There are no justice institutions working. Impunity leads to more impunity, and this problem is related to rewarding criminals. Targeting infants. The scale of the violence has overwhelmed local hospitals. At the Omdurman Maternity Hospital, the Director General described a pattern of atrocities that spares no one, not even babies. The rapes are in large numbers, far more than what is recorded. Like I said earlier, it is only people who are able to report their assaults. And in a place where people are being killed in mass, people are not making it to, locations where they can report these things that are happening, the number is going to be far below what the real actual number is. More than 14 female infants less than the age of 2 were raped. An infant, this is documented by NGOs. And once again, Western countries are doing nothing to stop this. And without getting too deep into it, they had 2 years. They had longer than that. The Yale Humanitarian Research Lab documented that this was going to happen basically down to the month that this would occur, that the genocide would occur. They documented all of this. They reported it to the Biden administration, and they did nothing. The UN did nothing, and still the Trump administration is doing nothing. I repeat, babies, infants are being raped, and the Western world is doing nothing. Sit with that for a while. All right. Cool. Not cool, but all right. Holy fuck, dude. Holy fuck. Sorry. Oh my god. The hospital received a flood of victims aged 11 to 23, mostly unmarried girls. They come as a result of pregnancy. Abortions were performed for those less than 3 months. For those more than 3 months, we didn't have a license to abort, so the pregnancy continued and births took place here. UNICEF has confirmed more than 200 cases of sexual assault on children since the start of 2024, some less than the age of 5. I say again, I cannot stress this enough. Children, babies are being sexually assaulted, raped, and the world is sitting by and doing nothing. They're sitting on their fucking hands. If that does not outrage you, if that does not drive you to literal rage, I don't know what will. I don't know what I can say or show you that will spark some sort of genuine rage and anger in you, because holy fuck. And it's not like they don't know this. It's not like they don't have this information. They probably, I mean, they have more information than the average person, obviously. They are the fucking governments in charge of the world. They are making a calculated decision not to do this because either they benefit from it or they don't care. Um, a systemic pattern. Initial home invasions and looting, accompanied by rape, followed by attacks in public spaces, and finally long term detention. That is the RSF three-stage pattern of advancing, I guess, is initial home invasions and looting accompanied by rape, followed by attacks in public spaces, and finally long-term detention. The violence occurs against a backdrop of worsening famine. The United Nations World Food Program warned it will cut the United Nations World Food Program warned it will cut rations in Sudan from January due to severe funding gaps, leaving millions at risk of starvation. Meanwhile, international pressure is mounting. Is it? Is it? The United States Kingdom, the United States Kingdom. Wow, I am. What the fuck is that? The United States Kingdom. That's awesome. Oh, that's so great. I love that. I love typos. I love verbal fuck ups. I love it. I love it when people fuck words up, including myself. Sorry, a little bit of a light-hearted moment here for you, I guess. The United States Kingdom. Is that what I said? Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Oh god. Okay. The United Kingdom recently sanctioned 4 senior RSF commanders over alleged mass killings and sexual violence. Yay, sanctions. Like, okay. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know how effective that's going to be. I'm not an expert on these topics. I will be completely honest with you, but I am not so sure that sanctions is really going to be that effective. But all right, sanctions. Sanctions. How about a coalition of the willing? How about we do something effective? How about we take some action? Um but for survivors like Miriam and Kulthum, the diplomatic move offers little solace. The international investment in reintegrating these women remains very, very small. Names have been changed to perfect that. Names have been changed to protect the identities of survivors. So yeah, that is that is yeah, like that's yeah. Yep. So when we go into this and we like talk about what has been ignored or what is being ignored on the international stage, it is the literal raping of infants, of babies, on a significant scale. Like, not like isolated incidences. This is a systemic thing that is occurring to babies. Like, this is the evil, right? Like, this is the sort of quintessential evil of the world. Like, this is the most evil act one can take. And the world is really doing nothing to intervene. They're doing nothing to put a stop to it. And I could get into why. I mean, on this, there's a lot of just financial reasons why. Also, just my personal opinion. I think that the world also just doesn't care about black people, obviously. So, since this is happening in a black country, in an African country, there's not going to be much attention paid here. There's not going to be much care given here. And again, there's also financial reasons like gold. A lot of gold. A lot of fucking gold. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, yeah, just remember, that's what's happening here. That is what is being ignored. That is what is being ignored.
Also spoke about the drone warfare being carried out by the paramilitary rapid support forces and the Sudanese army, saying that it affected civilian facilities. The commissioner called for both sides, both warring parties, to allow for safe corridors and for humanitarian corridors for those affected by the conflict to be able to flee areas that are unsafe and to get to safer zones, as well as for humanitarian assistance to be able to be delivered to those in need. He also called on both parties to protect civilians from the side effects of the conflict and said that the International Criminal Court will be investigating crimes that took place in the western region of Darfur, but that he hopes that that will encompass the rest of the country soon, so that those affected by the fighting and by the conflict, by the rapid support forces or the Sudanese army or allied forces, will eventually get justice. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
Don't miss out and get the full picture.
News now is whatever you can fit between two ads. And sadly, Sudan's news is too complicated.
Is Sudan too complicated for your news feed? Middle East Eye. I saw this and I was a little bit curious about like what they were gonna say. Sudan is facing what the UN has described as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Actually, hold on. I need to redo that. I'm also recording for YouTube right now, so little bit of a redo here. I didn't hit record. Is Sudan too complicated for your newsfeed? Middle East Eye. I saw this and I wanted to take a look at it. Sudan is facing what the UN has described as the world's worst humanitarian crisis, yet the war devastating the country remains largely absent from mainstream news coverage, which we just talked about a little bit. In this episode of Real Talk, Sudanese political cartoonist Khalid Al-Bai, I'm so bad at these names. I so apologize for my stupid Western tongue. I will butcher every fucking name from the Middle East and from Africa and from Asia almost every fucking time. It is so embarrassing. I hate it so fucking much. That is like truly the worst thing. Like my colonized fucking tongue, bro. Joins Mohammed Hashim to explain why Sudan is so easily ignored, from the dangers of documenting the war to disinformation, foreign interference, and the erasure of Sudanese history. Reflects on the role of artists during war, media silence, and what it means to be seen in today's news cycle. Yeah, all right, let's just get into this. Some of the comments here. Much like Myanmar, one of the reasons this is falling between the cracks was the lack of connection between the players and most of the global community. The Gaza genocide, error intentional, God, is harder to ignore because I never know when like websites are actually censoring things. I know TikTok is pretty censor heavy, but like I don't know how much YouTube is. I feel like I've definitely had people say genocide in my comments and not be censored, but I don't know for sure. it's harder to ignore because one of the players is so intertwined into the global power structure. Yeah, I mean that I do think that is definitely a part of it. There is like obviously the gold aspect, but I do think there is a part of this that requires people to just sort of care about their fellow human beings, their fellow man, and I think that's possible. I think that when you tell people that literal children are being raped, that infants, babies are being raped, I do think that the average person, even the average Westerner, when they hear that, is going to be inclined to want that to stop. They are going to not necessarily support that. And if they have an ounce of fucking brain power, then they would sort of recognize that the Western powers and the American government is in the best position to put a stop to that, but is choosing not to. Even if there's like, even if there's less of a direct involvement here, there is a just sort of moral aspect to this. Literal children, literal infants, babies are being sexually assaulted systemically, frequently. On a moral level, we should all want that to stop, and we should all want our government to put a stop to that, because the American government is incredibly powerful and incredibly capable, even with Donald Trump at the helm. And it is choosing, and has chosen, even under the Biden administration, to do nothing. And I think that is shameful. That is shameful.
Complicated to fit between two ads.
He will be hunted for having a camera?
He said, Khalid, it's easier for me to have a gun than to have a camera.
Do you believe that there are racial aspects at play as well?
The frame right now is that this is a mess. And this is what, this is what they said about the Middle East as a whole.
It's too complicated. It's too complicated.
It's the pyramids in Sudan, which are the most number of pyramids in the world. And
it's what the Sudanese love to tell Egyptians. It's the constant reminder. Khalid al-Bey is a Sudanese political cartoonist, writer, activist, and one of the most influential political artists online today. Over the years, his work
news now is whatever you can fit between two ads. And sadly, Sudan's news is too complicated to fit between two ads.
He will be hunted for having a camera?
He said, Khalid, it's easier for me to have a gun than to have a camera.
Do you believe that there are racial aspects at play as well?
The frame right now is that this is a mess. And this is what, this is what they said about the Middle East as a whole.
It's too complicated. It's too complicated.
It's the pyramids in Sudan, which are the most number of pyramids in the world. And
it's what the Sudanese love to tell Egyptians. It's the constant reminder. Khalid al-Bey is a Sudanese political cartoonist, writer, activist, and one of the most influential political artists online today. Over the years, his work traveled far beyond Sudan, going viral during the Arab Spring, the Black Lives Matter movement, and now during the war devastating his own country. And it's that war that we'll be speaking about. Today, Sudan faces what the UN calls the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Since the war broke out in April 2023, there's been thousands killed, more than 13 million displaced, and in a nation of 51 million, half the population urgently needs food aid. And yet, Sudan remains largely absent from mainstream news coverage. We see it briefly in headlines, like last November, when satellite images revealed killing sites and what appeared to be blood on the ground after the Rapid Support Forces captured the city of Al-Fasher.
Like, there'll be little flare-ups, right? Little moments where they talk about it and then it just goes back to radio silence again. It doesn't matter. We're not gonna discuss it. And I don't know. Like, I mean, is it just that you genuinely don't care? You don't really think it's not newsworthy enough, I guess, so you're not invested? Is that truly where we're at? Like, I mean, yes, it is, I guess. Like, I understand that, but there is just sort of a level of disbelief that I will never be able to let go of when it comes to these sort of things, because there is just a part of me that believes there's no way we are truly that just despicable as a society. That if something is not newsworthy enough, if something is not going to get enough attention, going to pull in enough money, because, it's all about the money, capitalism, baby. If it's not going to pull in enough of that money, then it's not worth it. And once again, there are people at stake here, people who are suffering, millions of people who are experiencing some of the worst things. And you're not doing anything because money, because you don't give a fuck, because it doesn't matter to you, etc. And I'm supposed to sit here and give a fuck about I'm supposed to sit here and be like, yo, way to go with fucking Venezuela. You really did that shit. One, I don't support American imperialism, but two, all you've done is shown that you do have the capabilities to go into another country and actually take action against the people there. You're just choosing not to. You have the ability to go into Sudan and take action against the RSF to stop them from committing atrocities, from committing war crimes, from committing genocide, and you're not doing it. You don't even have the excuse of, oh, but it's, Israel's involved. They're our ally. You don't even get to do that shit this time. Not that shit's fucking, a good reason either, but, it's you don't even have that fucking excuse. It's just so disgusting. It genuinely disgusts me. It makes me so just it makes me filled with disgust for our leadership more than anything. It's just so disgusting. It's shameful, it's unacceptable, and it's disgusting. You are less than human. You are less than fucking human. And you're spineless at that.
Before it fades again, which is why it's widely called a forgotten war. So let's get into it with Khalid. My name is Mohammed Hashim, and this is Real Talk. And he joins us from Doha, Qatar. Khalid El-Bey, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Real Talk.
Thank you for having me, Mohammed. Really looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, me too, Khalid. Honestly, thank you for making the time. Khalid, just to take it basically from the top, if we really want to break down to viewers what's happening on the ground in Sudan right now. I guess the bigger picture. I mean, there's a big picture and a small picture on what's happening. But from your viewpoint, how would you break it down to viewers?
What's going on in Sudan right now is part of what's going on in the region since the Arab Spring until today. What happened was, of course, we had al-Bashir in power for 30 years. Ever since 2011, and even before 2011, there was several attempts by the people to overthrow the al-Bashir government, which at the time worked with, had a lot of security apparatus, and one of those that kind of solidified its stay was Hemeti, who is now running the rapid response forces, right? Yeah. So the RSF. So he was someone that Bashir looked at to be part of his security apparatus. He named him Himaiti, actually, which means Himaiti, yeah, which means my protection, because he kind of secured what was happening in Darfur in 2003. And by leading the Janjaweed, which at first were rebel forces, but then again with the lead of Hemeti and the Bashir money, they kind of turned around and became part of the government, and created what was known then as the genocide in Darfur. So since then, a lot of things happened. After the Arab Spring, the government, including Hemeti, crackdown on protesters in 2011 and 2013. And in 2019, kind of, it finally worked with everything that was going on in the region at the time. So the steps that you can see, basically, you can follow with every other counter-revolution that happened. Every revolution that happened, then the military council would come in. The military council would have the head. They will keep cracking on the protesters, asking for democracy and حرية وسلام وعدالة as the chant of the Sudanese revolution was. And again, different forces in the region kind of had these two faces, which was Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the head of the military, which was a new face. We never actually heard of him before the revolution at all. No one knew who he was. I mean, unless, of course, you were interested in like the war in Yemen, for example, which the Janjaweed and the Sudanese army were fighting for Saudi and the Emirates in Yemen. So Hamiti gained a lot of knowledge from that, I would say, and a lot of international exposure from that, and so did Burhan. And
basically what happened after Omar Bashir's ouster is that we saw that these two men basically came to some sort of power sharing agreement, and I'm talking about Burhan and Hamiti, which
I think these men were supported to be where they are today, and I think again, like, this is my own look into things, right? That I think that, you know, the region at the time, they saw what happened in Yemen with the rise of the Houthi, and, you know, they wanted to control what could be like the Houthi of Sudan, which was an armed force that could take over, which was Hamiti. Basically, he had a whole army, he was ready to go, so they wanted to bring him to the table. And later on with the Juba peace treaty, after Hamidok came in, which was the interim president, there was also an interim. There was also the peace treaty to bring in all the other rebel forces as well. But Hamiti was at the lead, of course. So Hamiti and Burhan became the two de facto leaders of the military, and then there was the kind of a deal between the military and the civilian forces, and then this is what happened basically until the coup happened from the military against the interim president at the time, Hamidok. They jailed him. They jailed a lot of the political forces, and then
I don't have much to add because he's just far more knowledgeable on this than I am. Like I did know this stuff, but I don't have anything to like add to it because, you know, I'm not from Sudan. He is. But God, yeah, it's just like my point that I want to make is that um actually I might just skip the little rest of this little intro here just because
we're gonna get into now, but
yeah.
And a big thing that we'll be talking about throughout this conversation is also how Sudan is basically labeled as a forgotten war. It doesn't get enough, enough media coverage that it merits. But one of the most recent headlines was what was happening in El Fasher after the RSF captured El Fasher, which followed an 18-month siege. But the headlines that were coming out, as I'm sure you know, is the satellite images that showed what appeared to be blood spilled on the ground, and basically reports of mass killings that were happening and people that were trying to flee El Fasher. But what is the latest with that? What is it that we know about El Fasher since the news came out in November?
So since Al Fashir, a lot of the refugees that made it out of Al Fashir, they all went to the north state. They were welcomed there. There's a lot of refugees that also ended up in the west of Sudan as well, and in Chad. Even though, of course, Niala, which is the capital of Ta'sis, which is the capital of the new capital that the RSF is trying to establish, was closer to them. And that really goes against what what the RSF is saying, that we are here for the people, we're doing this for the people, we're doing this for democracy. But as we can see, this is where everywhere the RSF is, people actually leave.
The RSF are lying? What? That's crazy. It's not crazy. That's not crazy at all. Come on. Come on. That's, yeah. Shocker. Shocker. Like, they keep lying. They keep saying they're not doing war crimes. They keep saying they're not committing atrocities. And then they're like, oh, we'll investigate people when they do it. It's like fucking Israel, bro. It's like fucking Israel. They're just like, we'll investigate it. And he's like, bitch, yeah, okay, sure you will. Sure you will, dog. I bet you'll get right on that shit. Okay.
Because the army areas are considered the safe areas. So since then, we really don't know what's going on. There's still back and forth, and of course, as you said, with the media, people move on really quickly, and I think a lot of the forces at war understand that. Like it's just a matter of a moment. If you hold on long enough, then it will be forgotten, and something else will be happening, and then people will move on.
I mean, Israel's a great example of this. They're still committing a genocide. They're still like going after Gaza. They're still in Gaza. They haven't stopped killing Palestinians. But Trump got a ceasefire. Hey. But since the world has stopped talking, I mean, since like people have sort of moved on from that because they're like, oh, there's a ceasefire. And Israel just gets to keep doing what it's doing because, the media's kind of moved on. I mean, there's a few reports here and there about that kind of thing, but not like a ton of stuff.
But this is the story of Sudan, basically.
Just on that note, Khaled, about the media cycles and how things get easily and quickly forgotten.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be doing any kind of comparison here, but in the case of Gaza and the genocide in Gaza, I think what really kicked off, what really helped inform the public on what's happening on the ground is the videos that were being taken and uploaded by the Palestinian journalists in Gaza, right? All the unfiltered footage that they were uploading online. Now, just to understand what's happening in Sudan, because not to take away the fact that there are Sudanese journalists on the ground who are trying to basically upload as much footage as they can, or at least sound the alarm and inform the world on what's happening. But we're not seeing the same amount of footage come out of Sudan as we have been seeing from Gaza, for example. And there's another thing as well, is that we're also seeing footage come out from the Sudanese armed forces, and also footage come out from the rapid support for the RSF. So there's that too, that people are kind of sifting through online.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is, one, that is Gazans and Palestinians as a whole, they were trained for this. They were ready for this for a very long time, and this is what they do, right? They've always been independent journalism. There's always been, they understand the importance of being a voice in social media and filming and all of that, because this is the only way out for them, right? For us, we didn't really understand that. We didn't have that. And with al-Bashir in power for the last 30 years, it really took a reckoning at journalism in Sudan. There's amazing, brave journalists in Sudan. They're trying to do their job the best they can, even after this war, like Kiba Morgan from Al Jazeera, or Hassan from Al Hadath, and so on, and even the journalist who's still actually in captivity until today, after he was caught in Al Fasher. So we don't know also what happened to him. But what happened in Sudan was that, I have a friend of mine that at the beginning of the war, maybe like 6 months in or something, I was talking to him and I was like, hey man, we need as much films coming out of Sudan, as much footage is coming out of Sudan, because we need to show the world what's going on. And he said, Khalid, it's so dangerous for me to be filming it's easier for me to have a gun than to have a camera.
Wow. Can
Yeah.
we unpack that, Khalid?
Yeah.
That is a very powerful statement. So
Yeah.
what does he exactly mean by that? As in, he will be hunted for having a camera?
Absolutely, absolutely. He will be targeted. He will be hunted for having a camera, even on your phone, right? Because this is how most people film. Because the first thing the RSF would do will take your phone. They will jack your phone. They will steal your phone, and they will, of course, beat you up and all of that stuff. And for the army, if you have a phone or if you put your phone up, then maybe you're a spy. So in both sides, you're in danger actually if you're taking photos or if you're taking videos and so on. So that's why most of the footage that comes out is actually from soldiers, because no one else can actually do anything else.
And that
God, that's so. Like, I think that really just goes to show like how powerful media is, and just like how powerful getting footage and getting pictures out can be, because they are just terrified of that happening. They are terrified of people seeing what is happening in Sudan. Both sides probably are. The Sudanese armed forces are not saints in any regard. So I assume that they are also probably worried about some of their nefarious activities getting reported on. But god damn, dude.
is also why we're seeing, I guess, limited footage come out, like you're saying. It's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because of the dangers that it poses. So what are the stories that you're hearing then? I mean, how are people sharing what's happening on the ground? Is it through WhatsApp groups? Is it through phone calls? Like how are you getting stories, if any? And what are the kind of stories that you're hearing from Sudan?
And that's the issue with that lack of information, whether it's formal information coming out from the army side or from the RSF side. Most of it is propaganda, really. I mean, we really don't know what's going on. We have no idea unless someone tells you. And what we know as well is what people say. What people on the ground send out photos, they send out news or whatever they can. But also, there's so much fake news out there, and it's being used. I mean, just a few days ago, Mark Owens put out a report about having more than 1,000 bots that are pro RSF, right? And this kind of pushes and creates new cycles of news, right?
God, we live in a fucking hellscape, dude. God, dude. Like, Israel did the same fucking shit. They had, like, pro-Zionist, pro-Israel bots out all over the fucking place. They still do. Like, this is the fucking bullshit we have to deal with, is fucking governments trying to shape public discourse through AI fucking bots that we end up interacting with and becoming worse off for it. Like, they are slowly killing us with their AI bullshit so they can keep committing war crimes. So they can keep killing people. Like, this is ridiculous. This is fucking insane. Like, how are you expected not to lose your goddamn mind when this is the fucking scenario that you are living in? I'm supposed to be sane after this shit? Like, after interacting with literal fucking bots that want to justify actual atrocities to me. And it's a fucking bot. It's not a fucking human. It's got no skin in the game. God damn it, dude. Fuck. I hate this fucking shit. Like, the internet used to be a fun place. We used to have good times. Now look at it. The shitification of everything, dude. Oh. Like, I hate AI so fucking much, bro. I hate it so fucking much. And I hate generative AI. I hate these fucking bots. I hate this shit so fucking much. Actually making our world a worse place.
And this is what ends up in most, like, my mother's website, like my mother's WhatsApp or something, right? And it's no one really knows what's going on. And I think this is kind of the purpose of it, right? Just to drown the Sudanese with fake news to the point where no one knows what's going on, to the point where everybody just backs up and says, I don't know what's going on. And this is that's if you're smart. You say, I don't know what's going on, right? Because everyone
That's if
thinks
you're
this is it.
smart.
This is the news. We got it, And
Right.
AI now is playing a huge role in it. Old videos are resurfacing. No one knows what's going on, really. And it's and if it's not for like the few very super brave journalists that are there, it's incredibly hard. I know journalists that travel from town to town just to send out reports of what's going on through the internet.
Yeah, and just even following up on that, there's also foreign parties and foreign players at play here in the sense of like back to the report that you were talking about. There's also this. We've been seeing this phenomenon of disinfluencers, who have been called disinfluencers, who a lot of them have been backed by the UAE, who plays a role in the war in Sudan in terms of backing the RSF. But it's basically
like, this is not a new thing. I mean, if we're talking about just like influencers who get online and put out disinformation in order to, because they're funded by a specific government. This is not a new thing. We've seen this with other places. Israel, again, literally just all the same fucking playbook here. Like, what are we doing? We've seen this film before. We have seen this film before, and I can tell you, I did not like how it ended. It hasn't really ended. But I didn't like how it went. I'm not liking how it's going right now, and I don't like how this one's going either. It's the same fucking show.
you'll have these influencers online who will look at the conflict in Sudan and say that you can only see it through the prism of the Muslim Brotherhood, for example, and then they'll spread a whole, all kinds of information online, and again, it kind of gets sucked up in English language media and whatnot. But what do you make of that for someone who's constantly in the online sphere? What do you make of that kind of messaging?
I mean, it's not directed. It's especially the ones in English, right? And there was also an incident that also Mark Owens reported, was about building a whole website that looks like Euronews, right? And it's called Europost, and they built a whole website that looked like Euronews. They wrote a couple of articles in it for it to seem real, and linking the army to what is it called, the ones in Nigeria, the Boko Haram rebels in Nigeria, and they disseminated that news, right? Translated into Arabic. And of course, because, even if you were trying to be smart and you were like, I'm going to look this up, you're going to look up and you're going to find a proper website with fake journalists, like AI journalists, writing fake news and disseminating it, right? So this is where we are right now with
That's so nefarious. I hate this shit. I hate this shit. I hate this shit. I hate this shit. Hey, yo. Like, you can't even. Like, I am someone who's like, do your due diligence, look into shit. Look into shit. Get the right information. Check multiple sources, etc., etc., etc. But when you have people actually, like, faking sources, like, now you have to be extra fucking diligent about this shit. Oh my god. And it's all something they can do at the touch of a fucking button with AI. AI is making this so that people can do this at the flick of a fucking thumb. Whereas before, they would have had to invest a little bit time and effort into making this shit. They would have had to take the time to write certain things out, to make sure things are coherent, make sure things make sense. And now it's like, oh, they can just do it with fucking AI. It's the same with the fucking Grok shit, where Grok is editing photos and making inappropriate pictures of people. Like, yeah, that's something that has been happening. People have been editing photos probably for over a decade at least now. Photoshop has been a thing for quite some time. But that doesn't fucking mean that they were able to do it at the touch of a fucking button before. It took time. Like, they still shouldn't have been doing it. Like, definitely should not have been doing it. But it took time. It took effort. It took someone having to sit down at a computer and put in the energy and the work to make that happen. Whereas now, the barrier of entry is so fucking low. Like, think about that. If you wanted to say, edit a picture of someone inappropriately, let's say that you have to pay for a program like Photoshop or something. There's probably free ones out there you can get, but let's say you want to get like a decent program, so you have to pay for something. You have to sit down at your computer and actually put in the time and work to make the picture look how you want it to look. And that's going to take however long, depending on your skills and your abilities. And and instead, now you can just push a button, type in the prompt, and Grok will take care of it for you. And it's the same shit with fucking making fake news sites to trick people into thinking that various different things about a genocide, and it's just like, oh, that's great. That's great. We are in hell. We are in hell. This is hell. Like, this is my personal fucking hell. I don't know about anybody else, but this is my personal fucking hell. I might as well be in fucking hell. This is it. Like, if you were going to damn me for eternity to suffering and pain, this would be it. Like, it would be what is happening right now. The absolute death of logic, of critical thinking at the hands of AI overlords. Like, that's it. Like, this is my fucking hell. I don't think it could get much worse than this. People are dying. Children are being sexually assaulted. Babies are being sexually assaulted en masse. And we are being tricked by AI. Motherfuckers are being tricked by AI with fake news sites so that we don't raise a fuss and force our government to put a stop to this shit. That is where we're at. Like, that's hell. That is hell. I don't know what else to how else to describe that. Maybe I died. Maybe I died. Maybe I died and went to hell and I just didn't realize it. Cuz this is hell. Fuck me, dude.
With this news, no? So it's very hard to try to convince people that there's a lot of fake news out there, right? And sometimes I fall in it as well. I mean, I don't know what's real. Like, by the time I make a research, by the time it's you find yourself, you're already consuming a lot of that fake news. So you have to back up again and try to figure out what is what. So it's a very bad state right now. It's really confusing for a lot of people. And as I said, I think this is the purpose, to make it very confusing for you to just accept anything.
Even the foreign actors as well, you think that the purpose is to make it more confusing?
Absolutely. Just make it, because if there is confusion, people just back up, and then you wouldn't have any supporters, right? For what's going on, right? People will be like, you know what, I don't know, I'm just gonna back up from this, right? And this is what happens when you have a conversation. And I have these conversations a lot, and families have been broken over this war, just taking sides and believing firmly that this is the truth, right? And we can see this all over the world. It's not only in Sudan. You can see this in America with like the MAGA. You can see it in Europe, and everywhere. This is exactly the same thing that's happening, right? And families have been broken, friendship have ended because of this. Because when you try to convince people there is fake news, and they're like, no, you're this side. Like, you have to be either this or that, right? You can't say this is wrong, but this is worse, right? And according to these research, this is all fake, right? And this conversation does not work. It does not work. And this is the thing. And I think this is what they're aiming at again.
So what are you hearing from family on the ground if you are able to reach them? What do they tell you when you have these conversations?
People in Sudan really, whether they're in the Port Sudan area, whether in Khartoum and Durman now, after the army has regained control and they're trying to ask people to come back. Durman, of course, is a lot safer. Shops are open, people are there. People are trying to resume business as usual. It's very hard, of course, but it's still there. people having weddings and stuff. So there's life there. But I also have a friend of mine who works with one of the aid agencies, and she was in the west of Sudan. She was in Darfur, and she said it's just it's gone. She's like, I just think this is a separation because it's totally controlled by the RSF. It's a lost case, and everyone there is kind of believes the propaganda about what's going on, or you don't really have a choice. You have to believe that this is a better choice, whether it's the separation or whether it's that the people of the north want to kill you, stealing your fortune since the independence and so on. And of course, all of these things have truth to it, right? But it's this is how fake news works, right? You sandwich the truth between, you sandwich the lie between two truths. And the thing is that it's going more towards, or being pushed more towards, tribalism, and this is I guess what, again, they want it to be, because there's no other reason. They just want this to be about tribalism, so people just hate each other and the breakup is easier. And I think this is where it's going.
And for people who've survived the genocide in Darfur 20 years ago or so, I mean, what are they enduring today? I mean, it's like a renewed cycle.
Yeah. It's really sad. It's really sad what happened. And to be truthful with you, a lot of us in Khartoum didn't feel it. Didn't feel what was going on in Darfur. And it's not that we didn't believe that the government is doing these atrocities in Darfur and using the RSF at the time, or the Janjaweed, to genocide people in the West that way. But we were kind of in our own bubble, and also there was, even the activists, or the not all of them, of course, but a lot of them kind of looked at this as being backed from the U.S. or being backed from the West, right? With George Clooney coming in, and he has the whole kind of agency satellite just to look at Darfur at the time. So it was kind of very, you could, like, it's a huge difference from what's going on right now. Like, no one cares right now. Why where's George Clooney now? Why isn't he into this again? Right? So they spent millions of dollars into this, right? And so it was kind of very weird, but yes, we were guilty. We didn't look at it. There is a very interesting article from
where are the fucking governments? Like, yeah, I mean, where's George Clooney? But where are the fucking governments? Where? Nowhere to be seen. The governments of the world are nowhere to be fucking seen. They're too busy killing people. More people. Somewhere else, probably. America's too busy killing people in America and helping Israel kill Palestinians. So that's, yep, fuck.
Sudanese journalist Nasrin al-Malik talking about Khartoum, the selfish city, right? Because it was just like a little haven that we had, that no one cared, because everything worked here, because this is how centralized Sudan is. And this is one of the things that the RSF say that they're fighting for, which is absolutely, of course, real and happened and has been happening since the creation of Sudan. So, what the people that we've met from Darfur after this war, I've met a lot of people, and it was the look in their faces, and they say, you don't know what we've been through, what you're going through right now. We went through it 20 years ago. We lost our homes were burned, we lost our family, people were killed, people were raped, and you haven't seen the worst of them. You haven't seen the worst of the Janjaweed yet. And yeah, now we believe it. We absolutely believe it. We absolutely seen the evils that these people can do, whether from Al-Fashir or just the stories from Khartoum or any town that they actually go into, like Ardamata or Al Jazeera or Sinnar and all of these places. So it's incredibly sad and questionable that why is the world not saying or standing up to these atrocities, right? And then,
And how do you make sense of that, Khalid? Because you mentioned George Clooney. Where's George Clooney today? And then now,
yeah,
why is the world ignoring these atrocities? How are you making sense of that? How are you making sense of the lack of the coverage?
I guess this is not the case that they want today. You know, it was the case that they wanted for Darfur 20 years ago, and this is not the case that they wanted today. And even you can see until today, a lot of the American right wing, I don't even want to call them disinformation, but it's like they still say that what's going on right now in Sudan is Muslims against Christians, which is not, or Arabs against Africans, which is not, right? And this is kind of like this was the propaganda back then, right? So I think if it's not put in that frame, then it doesn't serve them in terms of politics, saying the Muslims are the bad guys or the Arabs are the bad guys or whatever. And it's just put in the other frame, which is just Africa's a mess. We have nothing to do with it. This is how it is. And Trump actually came out and said, "It's like I had no idea. I thought Sudan was a failed country." And
Yeah, if they can't use it for Islamophobia, then what good is it? You know, if Trump can't say that Christians are being genocided, that Christians are being genocided in Sudan, what good is it for him? If he can't use that as an excuse to bomb Sudan like he did Nigeria, what good is that to him? What good is that to him? Not any good. Not any good.
the president of the United States came out and said he has no idea about what's going on in Sudan. And this is the biggest displacement in the world, right? And the president of the United States came out and said, I have no idea. So unless Mohammed bin Salman went to speak to him about what was going on in Sudan, then we could have died for the next 10 years. Because he said he has no idea, and he would have, he had no decision to make on this. And until today, we didn't see a decision from him until today.
And do you believe that there are racial aspects at play as well when it comes to media coverage?
Absolutely, absolutely. I told you the frame right now is that this is a mess, and this is what this is what they said about the Middle East as a whole.
It's too complicated. It's too complicated.
It's too complicated,
right?
And it's Africa's a mess, and this is how it is, because this is what, when you hear about Sudan, you always hear about famine or a war and so on, and this is like. And I remember, I read this somewhere, I can't remember where, but they said that news now is whatever you can fit between two ads. And sadly, Sudan's news is too complicated to fit between two ads, right? We need more space to kind of say there's a story here, right? That goes on from colonialism until today, right?
Yeah.
And we're part of a bigger story that you cannot just single out Sudan and say this is what's happening in Sudan without mentioning what.
Not only is it too complicated to fit between two ads, it's too complicated to fit in the average Westerner's brain. Like that's it. Like there's racism at play here, of course, too, but it's also just like it's too much. It's too much to make sense of for the average Westerner, especially the average American, because the average American is stupid. And I say that as an American. And I say that as someone who wishes I didn't have to say that about the average American. But I do. I do. I have to say that about the average American because they're stupid. And what is happening in Sudan is too complicated for them to fucking realize, even though it's not that complicated. I mean, it's not like simple, but it's not like the most complicated thing on the world. Like, if you take time to put in the effort, you will learn. God damn.
What's happening in Yemen, without mentioning what's happening in Libya, without mentioning what's happening in Gaza. So, and that's the problem, right? And even for Sudanese people, I think that is one of the cases at hand, is that they want to make everybody feel like an island, right? This is happening in Yemen. It's only about Yemen. Just care about Yemen, right? This is happening in Sudan. Only care about Sudan only, because this is what's gonna save you, right? And they totally neglect of that this what's going on in the region is connected. We're all connected. It's not only the region. It's it's what's going on in the world. So, and of course, a big part of it is racism. A big part of it is what I mentioned earlier about not having enough footage, because sadly we have to be killed in 4K now for us to be on TV about it, or people to know about it. And part of it is that we weren't ready. Sadly, we were not ready as journalists. We weren't ready as people. And the forces at war, both of them, saw journalists as a threat.
And where do you find yourself in all of this, Khalid? I mean, it's a very bleak, it's a very dire situation. I'm curious to know what thoughts you carry with you amid all of this.
So I'm a political cartoonist, and
yes, you are.
I did my best for the last, I don't know, almost 20 years now, doing cartoons.
And mind you, not just a political cartoonist. You're one of the most prominent political cartoonists. I want to make sure that that's on the record. I mean, your work has gone viral many times over the years, and it's not just Sudan. It's the Arab Spring, it's Black Lives Matter. So I just want to make sure that it's on record. But please go ahead.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, and it's I try to do what I can with what I have, right? And about Sudan, and as you said, about other places as well, and trying to make this connection and trying to show that solidarity is what we need to do to basically come out of this together. Since the war has started, I found that that a lot of my friends, of course, and a lot of journalists, a lot of my friends, cartoonists and comic book artists, have lost their jobs. Because of basically the crash of the Sudanese economy, the crash of the Sudanese journalism. There's only a few online independent outlets that are working still today, suffering to work actually. So I decided to start a political cartoon magazine online, where we host other cartoonists, because I obviously can't do this alone. And there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of people that want to tell their stories. And there's a lot of people from the inside. So for me, sitting here in Doha or sitting in Norway or whatever, I'm going to tell my news from my side, right? This is what I understand, and this is what I'm going to do. But it's very important to have the news from the inside, to have cartoons, people telling this timeline of this war from the inside. And so when we look at this, 10 years, 15 years from now, we know what people inside thought about this. We know what people that got displaced in Egypt or in the Gulf or in Ethiopia or in Kenya felt about this, and what they were going through. So I think this is what I could do right now, is kind of offer the platform for all Sudanese cartoonists to work together, to find a platform that is independent, that respects their points of view, right? Without censorship, that is not propaganda, that is for the people, by the people. This is what we're trying to do. So we've been working now for the last 2 years, and I think we discovered talents. I think we tried as much as we can to tell the stories from the inside. I'm not, I've never been an editor. I never worked for a newspaper before. But I thought this is the only solution that could bring more voices to the table, right? Because now we have more than 35 cartoonists that are working with us. We're working every day, and it's incredible the amount of stories that we're able to tell. One of the most interesting stories, I think, that we drew as in comic form was the story of a cartoonist in Durman when he was under the RSF that's trying to draw a cartoon. He had to bury his Wacom where he draws. He had to bury it on the ground because he didn't want it to be stolen by the RSF. Wow. And then when he completes the cartoon, he lost his colors, he lost everything. So he had to go sneak into like an old school to get colors and to redraw it, and for him to send it to us through WhatsApp. This is how hard it was for cartoonists to draw a cartoon or a comic and for us to publish it. So this just shows you how hard it is.
You know, as I'm hearing you speak, Khalid, especially as an artist, I'm reminded, you know, in addition to all the reports of the mass killing and the atrocities committed by the RSF. I mean, both sides have been accused of war crimes. The RSF specifically has been accused of genocide. But there were reports last year in 2025 of the RSF basically looting and destroying artifacts in the National Museum of Sudan.
Yeah.
And as an artist, as I'm hearing you speak, it's come to me now, and I wanted to basically get your thoughts on when you first read that report.
This is a tough one, man. I mean, this is not only Sudan's history. You know, this is the world history. And for more than 100 historical artifacts to be stolen, transported, we saw that there's images of the trunks going into South Sudan, and no one cares. This is not a headline that the whole world is talking about. This shows you how much news is picked and selected, and how much there's this is okay, right? And it was very hurtful, especially for people that, you know, worked in the UNESCO or worked in the museums, and people really tried to do a lot to showcase the amount of loss that the world lost, because these things are not going to show up now. They're going to show up, you know, a decade from now or whatever, right? And we don't know where they're going to.
Okay, I do need to speed this up a little bit because I do have to go. They talk about the UAE boycotts, facing boycott calls. And yeah, I suggest you go watch this honestly on your own, because I do think that this is a very interesting and enlightening conversation. So I suggest you go watch it. It's Middle East Eye. Is Sudan too complicated for your news feed? Real talk, Khalid. So I suggest you go watch it on your own. I think I'm gonna have to wrap up the stream here. There were a couple other things I wanted to get to, but we might get to those maybe tomorrow. I'll maybe try and stream tomorrow. But I do need to go work on some stuff here. But this was a shorter stream tonight. I'm not feeling great tonight. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this a little bit and talk about ICE and talk about Sudan, especially talk about Sudan, because people are not talking about Sudan. But I'm going to go. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate you. If you're watching this later, give the video a like and give it a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so that you're around when I do other stuff, and hit that notification bell. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you, and